Hello, my name is Angeli. I'm an LPC in the state of Georgia. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a certified life coach. And I want to talk to you today about effective communication. This is for my parents that have children and teenagers currently in the home. One of the things that a lot of my teenage kids tell me is that they do not have good communication with their parents. They would love to have good communication with their parents, but they feel that they're unable to have that connection with their parents because they feel that if they were to come and talk to their parents about something that they're feeling or something that they're going through, that their parents are going to get upset with them, or they're going to get in trouble, or their parents are not going to validate their feelings, or mom is going to make it about her, or mom's going to become defenseless and it's going to turn into this big fight. And so they rather not have that communication, right? They rather not say anything and just keep it to themselves, right? Instead of talking to their parents because they don't feel comfortable doing that. So I think as parents, we need to have an open door policy, right? We need to be able to communicate with them effectively, right? And so we're the responsible adult. We're supposed to be the mature adult in the relationship. So we're supposed to be able to say, hey, you could come and tell me anything and I will hear you out. And if you feel like you need advice, or I feel like we need to correct a problem or I need to help you with a problem, then that's what's going to be done. But I think a lot of teenagers want to have good communication with their parents, but it always seems to be like one-sided, right? Where they're wanting to express their feelings, but mom and dad start expressing their own feelings. So teenagers walk away from certain conversations and don't feel like anything was done, right? And kind of, they tell themselves, see, I go and tell mom, my feelings or what's going on, and all of a sudden I'm in trouble, or all of a sudden mom makes it about herself. So we don't want our teenagers or our children to walk away thinking that we don't care about what they feel, right? So I think one of the main things that parents need to have is time with their children. I think our cell phones have taken a lot from healthy communication. First of all, our children don't know what it is to have effective communication because they're always on the phone and they think that by texting, that is communication, right? That's like verbal communication, and it is not. And I think them being constantly on their phone, not just them, but parents as well, we've distanced ourselves from having that communication. And so I had a class recently with a lot of my parents, and I said, look, if your child is in the same house as you, you should not be having to text them, I love you, or whatever, how was your day, or how was school. You should be able to walk, 10 steps, 20 steps to the room, knock on their door and have communication with them, right? Talk to them, hug them, tell them that you love them, tell them that you really are interested in their day. Like, what happened today? Is there anything that you need? Are you going through any troubles at school? And have that verbal communication. We shouldn't be texting our children unless they're outside of the home or we're outside of the home, right? But if they're in your house, you should talk to them, right? I also want to say, if you guys eat dinner together or lunch together or breakfast together, go on the weekends together, get rid of the phones, have communication with their children. Teach your children how to communicate with other people, because we have a younger generation today that does not know how to communicate with people. They don't know how to express their feelings. They don't know how to open up a conversation. They don't know how to make friends, right? Only online, but they don't know how to make, friends because they are not socially developed, right? So they're lacking in a lot of different areas. And as parents, we have to teach our children how to have communication. And that starts in the home. That's not a school thing. That's a home thing, right? That we should have communication with our children and have those conversations, whatever conversations. Know what your children likes and have conversations about what your children like. My children like to talk about God. They like to talk about finances. They like to talk about businesses. Okay, great. Let's talk about all those things. And I like to educate myself in those areas so that I understand what they're talking about, right? We have to, be up to date as parents with a lot of the stuff that our children are watching and hearing and being influenced by. So we have to be involved in our children's lives. So we have to have effective communication. Another thing is that when our children comes to us with whatever it is, we have to learn to remain cool, right? We need to remain calm. We need to remain calm. We have to be aware of our tone of voice. We have to be aware of our facial expressions, our body language. We want our children to come to us and feel comfortable enough to express whatever they're going through. A lot of parents are like, oh, I didn't know my child was going through this, or I didn't know that they were thinking this, or I didn't know that they were having trouble here, and I didn't know that they were being bullied. Well, because we have no communication with our children. We should know. We should be the first people to know, right, what is going on in our children's lives. And the reason why we don't know is because they don't feel comfortable enough coming to us and saying, hey, mom, this is how I feel. I messed up. I made a mistake. I failed. I did this. I did the other. Mom, I need help. Or mom, what should I do in this? And what should I do about this? Or dad, what should I do about this? So we have to, as parents, learn to control our tongue, learn to control the tone of our voice, learn to control our facial expressions, learn to control our body language, and just learn to control ourselves. As mature adults, we have to learn to control ourselves. One of the things that I remembered as a child was that I was yelled at or called names, or I felt fear, I felt scared when having a conversation with my father, oftentimes with my mother. And I never felt like I could go to them and tell them, hey, I'm in trouble, or look what I did, or have any kind of, intimate conversation with them, because I was afraid that I would always walk away being in trouble. We don't want to get in trouble as kids, right? So I can't really say that I had a good communication with my parents, but I wanted to turn that around with my children, because I understood how important it was for my children to be able to come to me and ask me anything, tell me anything, and have any kind of conversation, and that I was going to be open to it, right? And so I had to learn that as a parent, because I wasn't great at keeping my calm. I was easily annoyed. I would get easily frustrated, or I will yell, or I would have to say, well, why do I have to repeat the things over and over again to you? And how many times do I have to tell you, right? That was my communication. And I had to learn to stop doing those things. And now I just learned to keep my cool, right? I've learned to just gather myself together and be like, it's okay. It's not the end of the day, right? I mean, it's not the end of the world. Life will go on. My children's the most important person. I want to, when my children grow up, when they decide to leave the home, I want them to leave and know that they're going to call me, and know that they still want to have communication with me. And I want them to tell me all about their lives, and I want them to still continue to be close to me. But they will only feel comfortable and safe to do that is if they know that while they're in the home, they're able to come to me and have any kind of communication with me, right? When you learn to have good communication with your child, when you learn to calm yourself down, bite your tongue, be self-controlled, not be abusive with your words, guess what? They'll come into your room, knock on your door, sit with you for a while, and want to talk to you. Why? Because they feel safe. Why? Because they feel connected. Why? Because they're like, yay, I get to say something and I'm not going to get yelled at. I get to say something, I'm not going to be judged or criticized. So that's the opportunity that we want to give our children, is to know that there's an open door policy, that you come to me whenever, and tell me anything that's going on in your life, right? And so oftentimes as parents, we want to talk, give advice, bring correction, bring some kind of discipline, or yell, or do this or that or the other. And we have to learn to be good listeners, because that is part of the communication. It's not just necessarily talking, but listening, being good listeners. As therapists, we're really good listeners. So I love it when my clients, talk and talk and talk, and I'm listen. And we have this dialogue. We have, where I'm giving feedback, and they're eager to listen to what I have to say, because they felt heard from the beginning of the session, right? And so as parents, even though parents are not trained to be therapists, but we can learn to be good listeners, right? And we can learn to really hear the child, not think in our mind, okay, I hear what you're saying, and this is what you should do, or this is what you should do, and I have to tell them this, and I have to tell them, no. It's not about listening and then thinking of ways of what you're going to say afterwards. It's listening, and that is it. Sometimes it's just listening. I'm going to do a bigger or a longer video on this, since I have a limited time on TikTok. But I wanted to just give like an introduction of the next video that I'm going to do, is about effective communication, parents towards children, but I'll also be doing one for children towards parents as well. So I hope this little video has helped, and stay tuned to see what is coming up.